Trying to predict the future is a discouraging and hazardous occupation because the prophet invariably falls between two stools.
Time travel remains a riddle that many try to solve either through some theories or mysterious tales that sometimes become legends. Yet it has failed to appeal to the logic of extremely critical people. But several happenings have somehow hinted at the possibility of time travel, with some humans telling us that they themselves are time travelers. Arguably, the story of Sergey Ponomarenko seems to be the most convincing. He appeared in 2006, bearing a lot of evidence that just a moment ago he was in the year 1958. If Sergey's story were true, could all the legends of time travel be equally true? And does this finally solve the riddle behind time travel? Join us as we look into one of the mysterious tales that affirm the reality of time travel. Sergey Ponomarenko mysteriously appears in 2006. On April 23, 2006, something truly strange happened on a busy street in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. A man appeared out of nowhere, dressed in an outdated Soviet military uniform and clutching an old camera, instantly drawing attention. His attire was antiquated and particularly provocative. It was just like someone wearing a Confederate uniform at a civil rights rally, an act guaranteed to spark strong reactions. Given the historical and ongoing tensions between Ukraine and Russia, his presence was especially controversial. People began to eye him with a mix of curiosity and suspicion, which only seemed to increase his nervousness, making his behavior more erratic and unpredictable. A nearby police patrol noticed the commotion and decided to approach the man. When they asked him a few questions, he appeared disoriented and claimed to be lost, completely unaware of his current location. The officers then requested a means of identification, and what he handed over left them astonished. It was an ID issued by the Soviet Union, a country that had dissolved over a decade earlier. Ukraine had been an independent nation since 1991, and such IDs had long been obsolete. Adding to the intrigue, the man looked to be in his 20s, a total opposite of what we would have expected given the information on his ID. This stark contrast between his youthful appearance and the age implied by his Soviet ID, issued in a state that had ceased to exist, deepened the mystery surrounding him. If he were elderly, it might have been less surprising, but his apparent youth adds another puzzling layer to the bizarre encounter that left the police and onlookers baffled. His ID revealed that he was born in 1932, and the photo on it matched his face perfectly. The document was genuine, complete with the official Soviet government seal, and listed his name as Sergey Ponomarenko, with his birthplace recorded as Kyiv. Again, this left the police completely puzzled. According to this ID, the man should have been 74 years old, yet he looked like he was in his 20s or early 30s. It was even more alarming when an officer casually asked Sergey for the current date. He confidently replied that it was April 23, 1958. At this point, the police decided that Sergey might need a psychiatric evaluation. Despite his firm claims of being sane, his constant references to the Soviet Union only deepened their doubts. They gave him a choice: go to jail or to a psychiatric hospital. Sergey chose the second option, and they took him to a mental health facility for further evaluation. When Sergey arrived at the mental hospital, he was introduced to Dr. Paul Krakow, a psychologist. After a brief discussion with the police, Dr. Kov led Sergey to his office. The room was modest, but filled with books, certificates, and a few comforting plants. As Sergey stepped inside, he appeared captivated by his surroundings, examining everything with intense curiosity, as if he were a child seeing a new world for the first time. The way his eyes darted from the diplomas on the wall to the ticking clock on the shelf suggested that he found even the simplest objects utterly fascinating. During their conversation, Sergey revealed that he was born on June 16, 1932, and insisted that he was only 25 years old. He told the psychologist that his love for photography was the reason he carried the camera. It was as if he were holding on to a piece of his past, like a vintage vinyl record collector clutching a rare find. Dr. Krakow, sensing the depth of Sergey's conviction, decided to delve deeper into his narrative. He asked Sergey how he managed to travel to the future, genuinely curious about the story behind this extraordinary claim. Sergey leaned in, his eyes wide with sincerity, and described the experience in vivid detail. He spoke of a bright day in Kiev, where he had decided to wander the city with his trusty camera, much like a painter might explore the countryside with a canvas and brushes. As he stepped outside, he noticed a strange bell-shaped object hovering in the sky. It moved in a way that defied conventional explanation, captivating his photographer's eye. Instinctively, he aimed his camera and took a shot. "The moment I clicked," Sergey recounted, "I found myself standing on the unfamiliar streets of Kiev. I hadn't moved or done anything else, just took my hands off the camera, and suddenly, I was here." Dr. Krakow listened intently, intrigued by Sergey's tale. To him, it was as if he were listening to someone recount a fantastical dream or the plot of a science fiction novel. The psychologist couldn't help but draw parallels to classic stories of time travel and mysterious disappearances, reminiscent of H.G. Wells's The Time Machine or an episode of The Twilight Zone. The situation was bizarre and perplexing, leaving Dr. Krakow with more questions than answers. Fascinated by Sergey's story, Dr. Krakow closely inspected his camera and the photographs it held. The device was an old Yashima Flex, using a type of film that had been out of production since the 1970s. It was as if someone today was using a typewriter to draft a modern-day email, an odd mix of outdated tools in a contemporary context. Acknowledging his limitations, Dr. Krakow sought the expertise of Vadim Poyser, a seasoned photographer, to dig deeper into the mystery. Upon examining the camera, Vadim was astounded to see it documenting every detail of their interaction. He identified the camera as one of the first 120 dual-lens reflex models produced by Yashica in 1953 and noted the film, dating back to 1956, was still in excellent condition. It was just like finding a classic car on the road, not only well-preserved but also fully functional, running smoothly despite its age. Initially, Vadim presumed Sergey was a collector of vintage photography gear. However, the camera's blend of old and new elements, coupled with the pristine state of the film, baffled everyone involved. Dr. Krakow then asked Vadim to develop the photos to verify if the UFO Sergey described had been captured. The results were nothing short of astonishing. Matter-of-factly, developing the photograph was no easy task, given that it had originally been captured in 1956. The process required Vadim to invest a significant amount of time and expertise, as if trying to restore an ancient painting to its original glory. Once the image was finally developed, the result was astounding, a clear depiction of the bell-shaped UFO that Sergey had described. When Dr. Paul asked Sergey about the UFO and the photograph, Sergey confidently responded, "Now you are convinced I'm telling the truth. I still do not understand what this object is or how such a thing happened when I took the picture and ended up in this year." Among the various photos developed from the film, some showed the streets of Kiev as they appeared in the 1950s, while one striking image featured Sergey himself standing outside a building in 1956. Despite the film not undergoing any special preservation methods over the decades, it remarkably yielded exceptionally clear photos, much like discovering a vintage book in pristine condition after years of being hidden away. There were still numerous photos left to develop, and this required considerable time and effort. To prevent Sergey from escaping, the authorities placed him in a secure room under constant surveillance, with security cameras installed throughout the facility. Later that day, after all the photographs had been developed, they went to question Sergey. To their shock, he had completely disappeared. The police reviewed the security footage for any clues. The recordings confirmed that Sergey had entered the room, but there was no footage showing him leaving. Initially, they assumed he had somehow slipped out unnoticed, so they checked all the nearby camera feeds. Astonishingly, there was no trace of Sergey anywhere, leading to the baffling conclusion that he had truly vanished without a trace. This mystery of Sergey's disappearance from such a heavily monitored facility made Dr. Paul, the psychiatrist, suggest examining the photos for clues about Sergey's whereabouts. This idea seemed logical. so they meticulously scrutinized all the pictures, much like detectives piecing together fragments of a complex puzzle. They were about to give up when they noticed an image of Sergey standing next to a woman. It was a breakthrough that sparked new hope. Dr. Paul requested the local police to assist with further investigation. The police started by checking household registration records, much like historians unearthing old documents, and they soon found a file on a man named Sergey, who had mysteriously disappeared in 1960. They also identified the woman in the photograph as Sergey's wife, Valentina Kurik, who was now 74 years old. The police quickly located her for questioning, treating her as a crucial witness in a decades-old mystery. When they met with Valentina, she brought out a photo album and showed them a picture of her and Sergey from 1958, the same image found in Sergey's camera when he reappeared in 2006. This revelation was similar to finding a missing piece that perfectly fits into a jigsaw puzzle. Dr. Paul then showed Valentina the photo and recounted the strange events. She was equally surprised to see the picture and hear the story, her reaction mirroring that of someone encountering a long-lost relic with a fascinating history. Valentina confirmed that everything Sergey had claimed was true. She told the police that Sergey had disappeared for several days in April 1958, leaving her worried and nearly contacting the authorities. Suddenly, Sergey reappeared without explanation, much like a character re-emerging in a novel after a mysterious absence. Although relieved to have him back, Valentina noticed that he behaved oddly, displaying significant anxiety and refusing to discuss his absence. This peculiar behavior continued for 2 years until his final disappearance in 1960, creating a narrative that resembled the unresolved tension in a suspenseful story. In the year 1960, Sergey finally opened up to Valentina about the days he had mysteriously vanished. He disclosed that he had been inexplicably transported to 2006 during that period and that he was trapped there for a while before he could come back. After giving this astonishing account, Sergey disappeared once more, this time without ever returning. Valentina never saw him again but received a letter from him later on. Enclosed in the letter was a photograph of a bearded man who looked to be in his 40s. Further investigation revealed that the photo had been taken in a park by the Dnipro River in Kyiv, Ukraine's primary river. Interestingly, the buildings visible across the river in the photograph did not match any current structures. This led to the startling realization that the picture must have been taken in the future. A handwritten message on the back of the photo read, "I am good at everything, and I will try to come back." Again, this discovery further deepens the mystery of Sergey, the time traveler. Could it even be that Sergey was not only in the future, but also had found a way to communicate with people in the past? Let's look into some scientific investigations to search for answers. The theoretical framework of time travel. Time travel, despite being a concept many dismiss as pure science fiction, holds a place in serious scientific discussion. The fascination with moving through time has spurred countless theories and studies. One notable example is a study published in Classical and Quantum Gravity in September 2020, which proposed a theoretical method for traveling backward in time. This research is rooted in Einstein's theory of relativity, which revolutionized our understanding of space and time. To break it down, imagine time as a river. Typically, we drift downstream, moving forward from the past into the future. However, this study suggests that under certain conditions, it's possible to navigate this river in a circular loop, returning to a point we passed earlier. This looping journey through time is referred to as a closed, time-like curve. A very helpful analogy is a racetrack. Picture yourself driving around an oval track. Each lap represents the passage of time. Normally, you move from one point on the track to the next, just like moving from one moment to the next in time. But what if, after completing a lap, you could somehow end up back at a previous point on the track instead of continuing forward? This is the essence of the closed, time-like curve. The concept also addresses the classic grandfather paradox, where someone might worry about going back in time and causing a contradiction, like preventing their grandfather from meeting their grandmother. The theory suggests that any such attempts would be inherently self-correcting, meaning the timeline would adjust itself to prevent inconsistencies. It's like trying to alter the flow of a river with your hands. The water may momentarily shift, but it quickly returns to its original course, maintaining the overall direction of the flow. In essence, while the idea of time travel might sound fantastical, these scientific theories provide a framework that makes it a fascinating possibility, rooted in the very fabric of space and time, as described by Einstein's groundbreaking work. Though this study presents a captivating theoretical exploration, it resonates with the concept of determinism, which posits that all events, including moral choices, are determined completely by previously existing causes. In this context, determinism suggests that the universe will adapt to any changes, much like a GPS rerouting a driver that misses a turn. According to deterministic views, every event or state of affairs, including every human decision and action, is the consequence of preceding events in accordance with natural laws. This raises intriguing questions. What underlying principles facilitate this realignment and preserve the coherence of reality? Could it be a fundamental quantum force, the very fabric of the universe, or another yet-to-be-discovered phenomenon? Some theories propose that the probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics might be responsible for maintaining reality's consistency, potentially addressing paradoxes through concepts like quantum superposition and entanglement. Regrettably, it will be a long time before we can experimentally verify these theories by sending devices or people through closed time loops. For now, we can only speculate, as humanity has done for ages. The allure of time travel is not a recent phenomenon. It has been a central theme in narratives throughout history, such as the ancient Sanskrit epic Mahabharata, which explored ideas of temporal journeys. This enduring fascination likely stems from our intrinsic struggle with the relentless forward march of time. And just like how a river flows unceasingly, carrying everything along its path, we find ourselves swept along by the current of time, unable to pause or reverse our journey. As Lisa Yasek, a professor of science fiction studies at Georgia Institute of Technology, explained in a 2022 live science interview, time travel stories provide a unique way for us to imagine breaking free from the constraints of linear time, offering new perspectives on our existence. Think of it as being stuck on a one-way street with no option to turn around. Tales of time travel suggest a secret side road that lets us explore alternate routes and destinations. This deep-rooted desire to escape the limitations of time helps to explain why time travel tales, like the urban legend of Sergey, continue to captivate and resonate with people across different cultures and eras. It is just like the appeal of fantasy vacations. Just as we dream of visiting exotic locales to escape our everyday lives, we are equally enchanted by the notion of visiting different eras to escape our temporal confines. These stories allow us to ponder the what-ifs of life, such as witnessing historical events firsthand, or peering into the future to see how our actions today shape the world of tomorrow, or even if our inactions of today will affect the possibility of a good life tomorrow. Therefore, many of us feel the desire to transcend the boundaries of time, like Sergey, despite the confusion and disorientation characters like him often face. Sergey's story centers on a UFO transporting him at the speed of light and returning him to Earth decades later. This captivating narrative also ties into Einstein's special theory of relativity, introduced in 1905, which fundamentally changed our understanding of time and motion. According to Einstein, clocks in motion tick more slowly than those at rest, meaning that the faster an object moves, the slower time passes for it. To put this into perspective, imagine you are on a high-speed train traveling near the speed of light. While on the train, you decide to read a book. As you flip through the pages, an hour passes for you. However, when you step off the train, you find that many years have passed for those outside. This is because time slowed down for you on the fast-moving train. Another relatable example is that of twins. Suppose one twin stays on Earth while the other embarks on a journey in a spaceship traveling close to the speed of light. When the spacefaring twin returns, they will be significantly younger than the twin who stayed on Earth. This thought experiment, known as the twin paradox, illustrates how high-speed travel affects the passage of time. These examples highlight the mind-bending implications of Einstein's theory, demonstrating the possibility of how time dilation could make traveling into the future a reality, much like the incredible tale of Sergey. This concept has also been experimentally validated. For instance, if you place an extremely precise clock on an airplane and fly it in the direction of Earth's rotation, the clock on the plane will show a slightly earlier time upon landing compared to those on the ground. Imagine it as two friends synchronizing their watches before a journey. One stays home, and the other takes a flight around the world. When they reunite, the friend's watch who took the flight will be just a tiny bit behind, even though they left at the same time. This practical demonstration of special relativity is even experienced by astronauts, who operate in a time frame that is 0.02 seconds ahead of everyone on Earth. It's like running a marathon where everyone starts at the same point, but one runner gets a head start. These examples underscore the fascinating implications of traveling at very high velocities, offering a glimpse into how time dilation could enable time travel into the future. Just as we experience different time zones when traveling across the globe, moving at incredibly high speeds stretches this effect to more extreme levels, bending our perception of time in ways that make the concept of time travel not just a sci-fi fantasy, but a scientifically grounded possibility. Furthermore, in 1915, Einstein built upon his revolutionary concepts by introducing the theory of general relativity. This theory proposes that gravity is a geometric feature of the four-dimensional fabric known as space-time. Essentially, this means that time moves more slowly in areas with intense gravitational fields, a phenomenon known as gravitational time dilation. To understand this better, think of a clock on the top floor of a skyscraper ticking slightly faster than a clock in the basement. The greater gravitational pull closer to the Earth's core causes time to slow down a bit in the basement compared to the higher floors. This example highlights how gravity affects the passage of time, illustrating the profound implications of general relativity. The notion of time travel, whether it involves venturing into the future or the past, therefore, hinges on the availability of immense energy. To put it into perspective, consider the colossal energy levels found in black holes or supernovae, but our current technological advancements are nowhere near achieving such feats. For instance, creating a stable wormhole, a theoretical passage through space-time, would require energy levels that far exceed our present capabilities. Moreover, controlling and maintaining such a phenomenon would present additional challenges that are currently beyond our technological reach. Nonetheless, an advanced civilization might have the capability to harness these tremendous energies, much like the mysterious UFO that Sergey claimed to have encountered. This thought must have prompted an interesting idea in the mind of one of the psychiatrists who looked into Sergey's case, looking into other facts that surrounded the mystery of Sergey. Again, Dr. Krakow, the psychiatrist, examined Sergey's account and the photograph of the bell-shaped object over Kiev. He considered the possibility that Sergey might have been abducted by aliens, either deliberately or by accident. Such an abduction could have involved advanced extraterrestrial technology far beyond our current understanding. These beings might have had the capability to manipulate space and time, transporting Sergey to another galaxy at the speed of light and then returning him to Earth at a different time. Dr. Krakow further evaluated the facts surrounding Sergey's sudden appearance in 2006 and theorized that the aliens' technology, possibly harnessing the immense energy of black holes or other cosmic phenomena, could have enabled such a journey. Drawing on Einstein's theory of relativity, he speculated that what felt like mere seconds to Sergey could have actually been decades. This might explain why Sergey's photograph of the UFO seems so enigmatic, thereby prompting another question. Could Sergey have unintentionally stumbled into a wormhole or a space-time rift when he captured the image? The UFO could have had the immense energy required to make such an event possible, you know. However, this does not answer the questions that still remain. Why was Sergey the only one affected? Was he like someone who accidentally stepped onto a moving sidewalk, caught in the wake of the passing spacecraft at just the right moment? And if so, how did he manage to step off this cosmic conveyor belt and return to his original timeline in 2006 without the spaceship's help, only to somehow leap forward again to contact his wife from the future? These mysteries are like trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces, leaving us to wonder about the true nature of Sergey's extraordinary journey. But then, the more we dig into the logicality and possibility of this story, the more questions inevitably surface. However, it is now crucial to mention that this entire narrative is a work of fiction. The story is part of a television series titled Aliens, which aired in 2012 on the Ukrainian channel 1+1, a well-known station recognized for its diverse programming, including news, entertainment, and documentaries. The series, spanning 10 episodes, included this particular story in its third episode, Time Traveler. This episode focused on the fascinating and mysterious concept of time travel, weaving in elements of science fiction and speculative theories. Other episodes explored various themes related to extraterrestrial encounters and paranormal phenomena, capturing the imagination of viewers with stories that ranged from alien abductions and levitation to ghostly phantoms and enigmatic crop circles. The show Aliens on the 1+1 channel ventured into stories of the bizarre and supernatural, offering a blend of intrigue and suspense that captivated its audience. Even more intriguing is the fact that each episode of the series began with a disclaimer, clarifying that the aim was to recreate scenes related to controversial subjects. It stressed that the theories or hypotheses presented should not be taken as factual and that further scientific investigation was needed. All scene reconstructions were based on witness statements without any definitive proof of alien existence. This disclaimer meant that any theory proposed in the show was speculative. The series then made it clear that these were dramatizations, implying that Sergey's photos and videos found online are staged. For instance, the photo of Sergey by the river is a fabrication. Upon closer inspection, it becomes apparent that the tall buildings in the background were added using Photoshop. Some buildings appear awkwardly extended, a common result extensive of digital manipulation. A careful look reveals signs of poor Photoshop work, suggesting that one of the buildings in the image could be the Empire State Building in New York. To add to the intrigue, the show often used sensational storytelling techniques to captivate the audience, like a magician's trick that leaves spectators questioning reality. The dramatic reenactments were designed to evoke curiosity and wonder, but they were ultimately fictional. Just as a movie might use special effects to create an illusion, the series employed digital alterations to enhance the narrative. This approach underscores the importance of critical thinking and skepticism when encountering extraordinary claims, reminding us that not everything we see, especially in media, should be taken at face value. Another reminder of the fact that not everything we see should be taken at face value is that the story of Sergey Ponomarenko also finds its place on the Y-Files channel. This popular platform explores various enigmatic tales, including Sergey's alleged time-traveling experience, offering detailed explorations and discussions that captivate and challenge the imagination. Always emphasizing thorough research and critical analysis, the Y-Files channel presents a deep dive into Sergey's story alongside other compelling cases that make one question the boundaries of reality and fiction. With a fascinating blend of narrative and analysis, this channel has brought the story of Sergey to a broader audience, encouraging viewers to scrutinize the details and consider the possibility of alternative explanations. This inclusion highlights the enduring fascination with time travel and extraterrestrial encounters, and the importance of questioning and investigating the extraordinary claims we come across, further enriching the enigmatic nature of Sergey's tale and other similar phenomena. Now, after all that has been said, do you think Sergey's story could have been another person's reality? If time travel were possible, what do you think are the possible dilemmas that could arise from altering past events or peering into the future? If given the opportunity, would you travel to the past or the future? What would you have done differently? Kindly share your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.